Now we will talk about types of vulnerabilities, and it's important before you watch this video to watch the previous one where we define vulnerabilities. So it's important that you understand what is a vulnerability and why we try to minimize them as much as possible. So first, we will start with application vulnerabilities. Application vulnerabilities are those present in applications and that we want to reduce. First one we'll talk about is memory injection. So in memory injection vulnerabilities, if an application is vulnerable to that, attackers will be able to manipulate the memory of an application and execute code. And this can lead to data breaches. This can lead to system compromise. The application can crash, and attackers can take advantage of that and do so much more. They can steal data. They can upload their own data. They can do a lot of corrupt action within the application. Another type of application vulnerability is a buffer overflow. So buffer overflow, what happens here? This is when an application receives more input than it expects, and it causes the data to go to other memory spaces, and the application will crash. So for example, before we get to that, a buffer is a region of memory used to temporarily hold data while it's being moved from one place to another. For example, you're uploading your data to an application. The buffer is used when moving data between processes within a computer. And if you can manipulate the memory of the computer, you can manipulate the application. And when we talk about computer, it's a phone, it's a server, it's any device. So suppose our application here, the goal is to enter the word cybersecurity in the buffer. So we have a buffer here, and the goal is to enter cybersecurity. And this is the maximum amount of characters that the application can take. And the buffer is like, 8 bytes. So what do we do with the rest of the characters? It's going to go into the other memory locations, and there will be an overflow of 5 bytes. Now, this is a very basic example. I don't think there is an application that only takes these few words, but it's just to put it into perspective. So it's just like, imagine you create your applications where users can post their pictures, but then the maximum amount of space you allow to each user to post their picture is 1 megabyte. And someone comes and posts a picture of 20 megabytes. If you don't have the appropriate coding techniques to check the bounds, then the application will crash, for example. Another type of application vulnerability is a race condition. So what is a race condition? This occurs when the timing of actions impact the application's behavior. So it's very sensitive on timing. And this happens when you will also see the term time of check, time of use, TOC, TOU. This happens when an attacker exploits a time gap between checking a condition and using the result. So this can lead to data inconsistency, unauthorized access, and the application eventually crashes. For example, here you have two people who are trying to book their flights on Delta and to book a seat, right? Now you have Abby and Diane who are trying to book their flight at the exact same time, at the exact same second. So both are trying to get a seat, the same seat, like 23, is it 23B, for example. Now, when both book at the exact same time, the system crashes. Why? Because they both try to book the same seat at the exact same time. And if the application is not coded and written properly, the application will definitely crash. And the attacker can take advantage of that. And we call that a race condition. So it's important for programmers to code their application in a way that it doesn't cause a race condition. And finally, you have malicious updates. Malicious updates, this is the distribution of software updates that contain malicious code. So you're trying to perform an update on your app, but whatever you're trying to update from, there is malicious code inside, and it causes your application to crash, and it's possible that your data is stolen. That's why it's always recommended to update your applications from official sources and not from unofficial sources.
All right, guys, so this concludes our course for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, which includes YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And we have awesome Amazon flashcards for just $15 to help you study.